Hey everybody, it's Alan here, and today I'm going to work on my Rightii religiosa, commonly called water jasmine. And this tree used to be my stock plant, so I would let it grow quite long and then I would take air layers and sometimes cuttings. And I had decent success with both. But I decided a few months back to stop that and begin to style it as a bonsai. Now, it's a pretty nice tree. It's got a nice trunk, already getting some lichens, has nice movement, and we can probably appreciate the movement more if we take some of these branches off here so we can see the trunk. The trunk has a scar right there, but I don't see that as that big of a deal. And the nabari is decent. It's interesting because it typically suckers from the base off of these wounds, but it hasn't recently, so very interesting. So this is the back, and this is the left side. And one thing I focused on recently, after I decided to turn it into a bonsai, was I wanted to get this branch here thicker. This branch was very weak and very thin, and this branch here, which I had actually allowed to emerge just as a tiny little bud, and then I grew it out. You can see the chop right here. I grew it out tremendously, but then it got too thick compared to this guy because I want this as my first main branch. So I took this part of this lower branch and I wired it up so that the tree would pump more energy into that branch, and it has worked. This branch is now very close in thickness to this branch. Still needs a little more thickening, but that will happen over time. And if we look, let's take this guy off here. If we look at this branch, it's only still got this very small piece. Now eventually this branch would be in here with good ramification. But right now I still want to limit the growth until this guy catches up. And then for most of the rest of it, it's just a matter of reducing the new growth. They grow with very viney growth, like many tropical trees. And so I'm just going to start by reducing this front part and then getting rid of a lot of that foliage there. So now we can really see the trunk line coming up into here. And I'm going to reduce the second main branch a little tiny bit, and then this branch here could probably go entirely. So I'm going to shorten it tremendously. And then all this wild growth on this guy here can also come off. And we have some good back branching. And I am going to reduce the first main branch, even though I really want it to thicken more. I think the sacrifice branches, I guess you'd call it, have done their job. So I can cut them back. I think I'll cut this guy back here. Okay, now this branch here that I promoted to get thick is actually quite funky because it comes forward and then way back, and then this part here is like underneath. So I have the choice of, do I cut this off completely and then bring this guy down, and the kind of funkiness that you see right here will probably not even be detectable, or do I take this off and leave this smaller piece once this has thickened. You see how much thicker this is? It's close, it's getting close, but then we have some branching coming from the back straight forward, so I want to take that off. And then this back branch is very heavy indeed. So I'm going to cut that away here. And if I take that away, is it going to detract from the tree? I don't think so, because we have other back branches here, smaller, and then we have some other back branching right here that's further up the trunk. So if I remove this really heavy growth here, I don't think it's going to detract from the tree at all. So let's do that. Need to be over here because I'm right-handed. I'm going to take the whole thing off. Who knows, I may even try to root it. It's possible it could root. And if not, no big deal. Just stick it in a rooting tray or just a pot with some perlite. If it does, it does. If it don't, it don't. That's about as profound as it gets. Okay. And then I'm really looking at the apex to be this guy here. So I'm going to cut this branch to an outward growing leaf, or an outward pointing leaf, so then the bud will grow out into there. And then I'm going to shorten this guy just a touch, and shorten this back guy just a touch. And yeah, I like the fact that I took that really heavy growth off of there. So it's coming along. It's definitely coming along. I have some growth right here that I don't like. So there we go. And then I'm going to, and if we look at it this way, the apex moves forward a little bit too much, but I can rectify that just simply by cutting the apex to a leaf that is going to send it more to the back. So it's coming along. So get this guy more horizontal like that. Still have to decide on what I want to do with these guys. Right now I still want the thickening process to continue. But I think we're looking at a pretty nice tree. And of course it's going to take some time. But the time passes whether you are working on your trees or not. And I figure there's probably at least 2 or 3 more years before this tree really has the refinement, you know, branches out to here, really good ramification. And do something with this branch where it's more like that. Just moving that down changes the whole look of the tree for me. You know, moving that down into there. And this tree is also growing in fairly dense shade underneath a big oak tree. And part of the reason for that is to keep it a little more moist, to keep evaporation to a minimum. But that also means leaf enlargement. So we have some pretty big leaves here, like on this guy here. Those are some pretty big leaves right there. If you start to pinch like this, then whenever you pinch, these smaller leaves here will basically stop growing because the branch is going to start putting its energy in producing another shoot, and it's going to keep those leaves small, and they're going to grow a little bit more. But since I'm still in just the letting it grow and cutting it backstage, and it's in some shade, it has some pretty large leaves, and I'm not worried about that. And I've used my traditional cut paste on the scars. And I still think that cut paste is just a gray colored plumber's putty. It's virtually the same stuff. So there we go. Radia religiosa. And the pot is perhaps a little bit too deep. I like the dimensions of the pot, but it's probably a little bit too deep. But that's okay. Repotting can occur just about any time that it's ready to be repotted, and probably needs to be maybe an inch shallower, but that's in the future. And now the next step is to let it regrow, and then do it all over again. And over time, the more you do that, the nicer your trees will look. And I'm not sure if I have a playlist. Maybe I'll make one. So at the end of this video, you can click on the playlist and you can watch the progress of this guy. And I have at least a couple of videos. One includes removing all of the suckers that I used for air layering and the beginning stages of turning it into a bonsai. So if you'd like to click on that, and you can watch this tree from the past up to today. And then of course, if you want to watch the continued progress of this tree, if you're not already subscribed, you can hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And the next time I work this guy, you'll be able to see that. So that's it for today. This is Alan signing off, saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.